here. Well, we are hopefully going to be coming at you right now, uh, live. Welcome everybody to Hebrews News. Sorry for the technical delays. We're still working out the bugs, obviously, in our broadcasting systems from page to page. But we are in our pre-launch of this identity, Hebrews News, as well as several others. So we're going to go ahead and just share some really hot stories off the press with you right now. This is Judge Janine coming at you here on Hebrews News on Facebook. So
A foreign terrorist organization. It gives all of us in law
there we go.
control of the Sinaloa cartels. And these cartels are capable and are known to make more than 1 ton of methamphetamines a week. Now, because President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio have declared the Sinaloa cartel a foreign terrorist organization, it gives all of us in law enforcement the ability to move quicker and to seize quicker. And this cartel, as I'm sure all of you know, is one of the largest producers and traffickers of fentanyl, and they use murder, kidnapping, torture, and violence as a way of doing business. And let it be known that anyone who is working with them, whether they claim innocence or not, if they know that they are providing material support to terrorism. Now, this government forfeiture today of property allows us to seize all of the property, whether it is on domestic or foreign territory, even seizing property outside of the United States. And that is the significance of the FTO. Now, when you have a chance, I want you to take a look at the barrels behind me. There are 1,300 barrels filled with precursors to methamphetamine. It will take 24 18-wheelers to take these precursors to a storage facility in a safe location. I'm going to say that again. It will take 24 18-wheelers to take these barrels to a storage facility in a secure location. So today's interdiction highlights an incredible work that has been done by the Homeland Security investigation, as well as Customs and Border Patrol, and my office in Washington, D.C., that was on this case, because this is what we do wherever it occurs. And we will continue to stay on top of these organizations and on top of the movement of these precursors throughout the high seas to prevent them from making it to the United States. And let me say that this interdiction has stopped the drug labs that were planned on producing meth from operating. Now, how do we get to this point? We do it because we've got smart people behind me. We got people who understand drug trafficking, they understand money laundering techniques, and they understand transportation distribution, and they analyze, and they are just smart as hell. And thank God for every one of them. and I want to thank them for being here today and for the work that they do. And before you leave, I want to make sure that you look at those 1,300 barrels, and I want you to have a visual of dead Americans instead of where those barrels are, because that's what would have happened. Now I'm going to call upon Homeland Security investigation, the Agent Director Todd Lyons, and after that, the Custom and Border Patrol Director of Field Operations, Judd Murdoch. Todd?
Thank you, ma'am.
You don't have to step on them.
We'll just slide that back over.
Yeah, quietly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Todd Lyons. I'm the Acting Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. First off, I want to begin by thanking the U.S. Attorney. She's been an amazing partner. She's been side by side with us all the way with Homeland Security investigations and ICE. And it's because of her and her office we could have successes like we had here today. I also want to thank Customs and Border Protection for hosting us today, as well as all the other law enforcement partner agencies that were involved in this seizure. The FBI, the DEA, the Department of Defense Joint Interagency Task Force, U.S. Northcom, as well as the Texas National Guard. In recent years, the number of drug-related deaths in America have grown to more than 100,000 casualties, and that's just way too much. This tragic and senseless loss each year has been ensured that since President Trump took office, that's his #1 priority, is taking these weapons of mass destruction off the street. HSI's Operation Hydra is unique from our other approaches to combating drug trafficking because it targets the supply line chemical precursors that manufacture illicit narcotics rather than the finished products. As a result, it's possible for HSI to prevent much larger volume of narcotics entering the international and the domestic drug supply lines. These two shipments originated from the same vendor in China and were destined to go into the hands of the Sinaloa cartel. Had these precursors made it to their destination, they would have made hundreds of thousands of pounds of methamphetamine with profits of over $500 million, which would lead to more American deaths here, not only in Houston, but all across the country. Under this operation, HSI used sophisticated analytical tools and techniques, as well as our extensive investigative tools and our deep knowledge about cross-border trade to ensure that we identified these shipments before they got into any illicit hands. This marks the first time a seizure warrant was issued for the material support of terrorism. So let me just say that again. Under 18 U.S.C. United States Code 2339B, we were able to charge someone with material support of terrorism, and that's the Sinaloa cartel. The ability to obtain the warrant for this was only possible because President Trump's executive order designating the Department of State to designate major drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. After seizing these two shipments, HSI International worked closely with our foreign law enforcement partners to consolidate the shipments in Panama and divert them here to the port of Houston. Our agents in Guatemala, Panama, and Mexico provided significant support to our Homeland Security investigation team here in Houston throughout this whole investigation. Operation Hydra continues to be a tremendous success to bolster our efforts to combat drug trafficking. Operations like this is key to our Homeland Security Task Force. The amount of partners that work together to take these illicit drugs off our street is key to making America safe again. I can't thank all of our partners enough, and I can't thank you, U.S. Attorney, for everything you've done for us to take these deadly substances off our street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Nice job. Thank you.
Again, good morning. My name is Judd Murdoch. I'm the Director of Field Operations for the Houston Field Office for U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I truly appreciate the work of U.S. Attorney Pirro and her team to my left, as well as our other federal partners that are here with me today. I'm honored to speak briefly on behalf of the men and women of U.S. Customs and Border Protection who are committed to protecting the American people and our nation's borders. The seaport environment here in the Houston-Galveston area presents unique challenges to the national security and border mission that we carry out every single day. Global criminal networks and designated terrorist organizations work to exploit our borders in many creative ways to move dangerous people and dangerous things here to the United States. The many barrels of precursor chemicals that are behind me are directly linked to one of the most dangerous and deadliest terrorist networks, the Sinaloa Cartel. If you're unfamiliar, the Sinaloa Cartel is one of the most violent and brutal terrorist organizations in the world. They have produced and distributed record amounts of drugs worldwide and are responsible for countless deaths, devastation, and destruction of communities in the United States and abroad. This seizure represents one of the largest interdictions of its kind in history and highlights the critical role of interagency collaboration and intelligence sharing in combating threats posed by drug trafficking organizations and terrorist groups. It's precisely why we bring our many unique areas of expertise together to form these law enforcement partnerships to combat the enemy. The Sinaloa Cartel activities are not merely criminal, they are acts of terror that threaten the safety and security of our nation. By targeting their supply chains and disrupting their operations, we are sending a clear message. DHS will not tolerate anyone or anything that wants to harm our community. Let me be clear, this seizure is not just a victory for law enforcement, it's a victory for every family and every individual who's been impacted by the devastation of drug addiction and cartel violence. We will continue to stand vigilant, using every resource that we can throw at this problem set to protect our borders and dismantle criminal organizations and terrorist organizations. Again, thank you very much for being here today, and a special thanks again to the U.S. Attorney for being here with us as well.
Hi. Do you have any questions? When was it intercepted? Like a week ago? When did we intercept it? Yeah, within the last week. Within the last week. We had to unload it. It was in the big cartons. What do you call those cartons?
The shipping containers.
Yeah, you know those shipping containers that you see? That we had a lot of those containers, and the barrels are then in the containers. Don't look so worried. Right now, this is a seizure of the goods of a foreign terrorist organization. We are working on that part of it as we speak. We'll let you know on that. But I think the most important part of this, as you heard from both Judd as well as Todd, is this is a first in many ways. And not just in terms of the use of the statute, but in terms of the size of the seizure. And again, I have to tip my hat to those individuals involved in this investigation. This is serious business, folks. This isn't about people just sitting at a desk writing a warrant. This is serious, dangerous business. And that's why I thought it was important to come down here and let you know the kind of work that's being done by people in the government that some people just take for granted. You can't. These people are heroes behind me, and all around here. They're all heroes here. So God bless them. Well, whether or not we're in a position to make arrests in Mexico, which is what you're asking, is not something that I'm at liberty to speak about right now. But thank you for the question. You keep going. Yes.
If Mexico doesn't cooperate, I think we're going to take them over.
No. This seizure is not planned in terms of anyone's schedule other than the schedule of getting it off the high seas, getting it here into Houston, getting it off the ships, and, locking it down so that we prevent it from going to the cartel. It's got nothing to do with politics. Nothing. Other than the fact that this is the first president who decided that the Sinaloa Cartel is a foreign terrorist organization that gives us the ability to move quickly and gives us the ability to seize property anywhere in the world if it is connected to one of these organizations. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me be very clear. This is the hard part. Finding the Americans who are violating the law is the easy part. So don't think you're going to get away with it and make a quick few bucks and no one will know. We know. You'd be amazed at what we know. We may be following you now, waiting for you to go to the next guy. We may be watching you and not ready to take you down. So don't risk it, because you're going to jail. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
This is the largest seizure.
Todd, over here.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, this is the largest seizure of any precursor chemical ever in the history of the United States. So, to the U.S. Attorney's point, President Trump has made sure that these criminal organizations that are now designated as foreign terrorist groups, they're giving us the ability to go ahead and track these precursors before they even get here. So I think the key to it is, not only is it the largest seizure in history of U.S. law enforcement, but this just shows that we were able to stop a threat before it actually came on to U.S. soil. And that's the key part of this, I think.
Yeah. To have the ability to stop it when previously we could not under other administrations. It's recognizing the danger to America. All right, everyone.
Stick it to this. Stay with this.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with this. This is key because, to the U.S. Attorney's point, we need to be focused on what the men and women of law enforcement do. So the men and women of HSI are out here serving this criminal warrant, and we're going to do this nationwide, whether it be international trafficking, human trafficking, any type of criminal immigration enforcement operations. ICE and HSI will be all over every major U.S. city, so you can count on that.
That's exactly what I said they would ask. That is very good. There's not a lot I'm going to tell you about how we go about finding out about this. Does it put it in? Absolutely, it does. Are they a big organization? Absolutely. But the way I look at this is that every life saved, and again, imagine bodies where those barrels are, because that's not too much to imagine and visualize. So will they recoup? Maybe. It'll take them a while. And how we find out about this, if I told you, then they'd know, and that wouldn't be good. Thanks, everybody. I'm not telling you where they're intercepted. What do you want to say, Mike? Yeah, we seized it on the high seas, and that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for being here. Really, we appreciate it. Take care.
Getting our intel here.
Thank you. I'm good.
It's very hot. It's very hot.
Yeah. How about that one, huh? That was and really exciting to see that we are moving forward against lawlessness. The righteous will run into it and be safe. Hallelujah. This is all about coming against lawlessness, okay? The scripture talks about lawlessness in the Torah, and lawlessness is the definition of sin. So you're either a lawful person or a lawless person. And Hebrews News, a big portion of our theme that we're going to be pointing out, what makes us different, is we're going to talk from a scriptural perspective on what is lawless, what is against Yah, okay, against Yah's laws, and what is righteous. So we want to be the righteous. We want to run with the righteous. We want to be able to be in that number when the saints go marching in. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other hot stuff happening here in the world today. Come on. Ooh, doggy. We got a hot one going today. All right. So that is my screen that we were just in. But we want to go to, computer's running a little slow here today. I do apologize. We want to go over here to the to the home to see if there's some hot stories, breaking news coming out here today. Panic in DC. All right, so this is Benny coming at you. We're going to bring an update on what's going on with the Epstein situation. Come on. Boy, I'm going to have to clean out my cookies today, huh?
The goal operation since the American.
The White House sharing this dramatic video of a U.S. strike blasting that boat. It was carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing 11 suspected Tren de Aragua members in the Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. Lucas Tomlinson is live in Washington. Lucas, this could just be the beginning.
There's no question about it, Brian. Good morning. When the Pentagon deployed that armada to the Caribbean, including an attack submarine, officials say it was not just going to be doing donuts in the water. This plan has been in the works for weeks. It's the first lethal operation since the American warships arrived on station. This unclassified drone footage shows a Go Faster speedboat getting annihilated, killing all 11 on board. For years, the U.S. military would shoot out the engine block, or a Coast Guard law enforcement detachment would jump on board and detain the crew. We used to run that tape. No longer. The Pentagon now given orders to kill. The president spoke about it yesterday.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat, a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela.
The goal of the operation is to deny revenue to the Maduro regime in Venezuela, which receives over $8 billion from selling drugs on American streets and college campuses, the bulk coming from cocaine sales, as you see. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke in Miami yesterday en route to Ecuador.
The president's been very clear that he's going to use the full power of America and the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels, no matter where they're operating from and no matter how long they've been able to act with impunity. Those days are over. We are going to wage combat against drug cartels that are flooding American streets and killing Americans.
So we might need a new cocaine price index, or it might be a good time to dust off your copy of Clear and Present Danger or watch the movie. Hope I'm not dating myself, guys.
If you only knew the level of memeception. Okay, if you're a real one, and by the way, hearts out to the chat, freaking love you all, and thank you. We're so excited to be back, and thank you all for your support, and I appreciate you understanding, like a dad just wanting to take some time with his kids. That's just what it's about, man. And there's no such thing as a vacation, by the way. It's just a family trip. When you have 4 kids that are under the age of 5 years old, it's a family trip. There's no vacations. People are like, I hope you enjoyed your vacation. It's like, the kids enjoyed it, I think. It's like, we're just being parents, right? We're just herding cats. But it's, man, it's the thing that life is made out of, right? And anyway, I just wanted to say, shout yourself out in the comments if you understood that entire meme. That is memeception. It's something that is a very skilled surgical attack, and we're going to talk about a number of those today, by our in-house meme maker, the only show in the entire worldwide internet that has an in-house meme maker, the famous Jerry. You can find him in the chat. Jerry, D-A memes, is someone who is able to just kind of deliver this layered approach. It's kind of like Insomnia, right? It's just like The Dark Knight, okay? It's just a good Christopher Nolan level of memeing. But if you understand all those memes, shout us out in the comments. You are one of the real ones. We have a real one today. The most stacked show in the history of our programming. Why not hit the ground running? The most stacked show in the Benny Show history. Ladies and gentlemen, get your salt shakers ready. We are going to be dropping salt today, Wednesday, September 3rd. 2025, House Oversight to hold press conference with Epstein victims live on our show here. Why is this important? Well, it certainly was the song of the summer, and it seems like that song perhaps maybe leading to a conclusion, and we want to make sure that we stay locked in to something that we've been covering for so long and not let the bag drop, right? Or the ball drop. So we're going to cover that live. It'll be happening here in moments, along with a man who has just deposed a number of these Epstein victims. His name is Tim Burchett. He's one of our favorite members of Congress. He'll be joining in minutes. So we got a rip roar here. Senator Eric Schmidt's also on the program. Eric Schmidt is the man. Chip Roy is on the program as well. He's running for state office in Texas. Texas in the chat? Shout yourself out if you're from the great state of Texas. Doing incredible work. Well done on redistricting. Now it's time to get that done in Florida. Now, little birdies in Tallahassee tell me that we're going to add up to 4 seats in the state of Florida. Byron Donalds, the next governor of the state of Florida, will be live on the program. What a rip-roaring show. Kara, our booker, is incredible. You know who also will be live on the program? Donald Trump! President Trump's going to be doing a live Oval Office. He'll be on the show eventually, okay? Everyone's always asking. He'll be on the show. We're working on it. We've done the J.D. Vance interview. We've interviewed pretty much everyone in the administration, working our way all the way up to the big man. Don't you worry. We got you set and locked in. But President Trump will be live on the show from the Oval Office with the president of Poland. Talk about a country that probably has better security than any nation on earth. And that maybe Donald Trump will have a rip-roaring good time with. A lot of news out of Poland and with Poland in that region of the world. So we expect that to be raucous. That'll all happen live on the show right now. Are you locked in? My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Advantage Gold for your golden era. You know, I talk about them a lot. Advantage Gold is, well, let's just call it what it is. The best performing asset class for me. People are out there buying crypto, trying to make digital gold. Well, you could also buy real gold. You could do like the thing that the crypto.
All right. So you need to understand that you can also, although Benny is an option, and we love to support Benny in any way that we can. Although Benny's making a lot of money, so we'd like to be able to cash in because we are doing the rebroadcast here. And please stop calling me, people, over on my Kevin Lee Rice account. I'm not going to answer anyway, so you're just wasting your time. I use this as a broadcaster. I don't use it as a telephone. Okay, so get out of my Facebook Messenger, please, all you people out there. All right, I don't know how many times you got to tell people, but they somehow think that they're going to obnoxiously force their way into your life. Not going to happen. Okay, so what I am saying here is you can go ahead. Excuse me. Oh, man, this pizza is yummy. We were at Cece's last night. They had their 40-year anniversary going on. Big shout out for them, right? But yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring back Benny in a second. But I did want to take you to my option for you to get your gold. And that is going to be right here. Just simply go to gold.rockrice.com and you'll be able to take a look at a bunch of ways to be able to get your gold through us at gold.rockrice.com. Okay. So yeah, we'd love it if you support Benny, but we'd love it more if you support us. All right, let's go ahead and get through this.
Based off of, which is like a real, actual, true, hard and fast asset that you can buy and you can have in your portfolio. There's a 100% legal loophole that lets you move your 401k, IRA, or TSP into physical gold and silver assets that have stood the test of time.
And we can move that for you. So contact me. Go to RockRice, RockReiss.com. That's RockReiss.com. And we can move your 401k into a retirement gold 401k IRA.
I own physical gold. Yeah, it's not guesswork. It's a self-directed IRA, and it helps give you full control of your retirement into something real. While the stock market is suffering, and it is down, gold is holding strong like it does in times of crisis. Advantage Gold is hosting a free event to show you how it all works. You can qualify with up to $2,000 in free silver for attending. Text Benny to 85545. Text Benny to 85545 right now to claim your spot. Don't wait for more losses. Protect your future now. Text Benny to 85545. Homies at Advantage Gold will take care of you. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with something that we probably won't get a chance because we're going to be doing a lot of lives. We're going to do a ton of live interviews. We're going to do a ton of live press conferences on this program, on the stream. Just real quick, President Trump has yeeted Tren de Aragua terrorists in the Gulf of America, the Caribbean, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm just going to call it the Gulf of America. Effed around and found out. Here's the boat that got yeeted trying to smuggle drugs into the country. You got the footage. They released the footage yesterday. It's pretty great. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think about this? We had a piece this weekend that is fascinating. These are all Venezuelan terrorists. The odds are, I don't really know what the odds are because, and here's the yeeting. I mean, don't F around. Don't F around in our hood, okay? These are boats that are filled with fentanyl and all manner of American killing opioids and horrible narcotics. They're being smuggled in here to fund criminal gangs. Oh boy.
Mr. Chairman Comer needs to leave, so I'm going to yield to him first.
Okay, this was quick.
And let him go first. So, Chairman Comer.
Here is the press conference for the Epstein
thank you,
victims.
Chairman McClain. Yesterday, Speaker Johnson and members of the House Oversight Committee met with several survivors of the horrific crimes committed by Epstein and Maxwell. The abuse these survivors endured is both heartbreaking and sickening. They were not only victims of unspeakable crimes, but were also betrayed by their own government, which failed to deliver justice and accountability. The House Oversight Committee is committed to providing transparency and accountability for these brave survivors and for the American people. Over the past 6 weeks, the Oversight Committee has worked tirelessly to obtain documents and testimony related to Epstein and Maxwell. We have subpoenaed Maxwell for a deposition. We have subpoenaed the Department of Justice for documents. We have issued subpoenas to 10 former federal officials for depositions. We have requested documents from the Epstein estate, and we have secured a transcribed interview with former Labor Secretary Alex Acosta. This is the most comprehensive investigation into Epstein and Maxwell to date, and we're already getting results. We have already deposed former Attorney General Bill Barr. The DOJ has produced nearly 34,000 pages of documents with more to come. These documents are now accessible on our website. We put every single document on the website. The Epstein estate will begin producing documents on September 8th. The committee is operating at an unprecedented pace and doing the work the right way. What we heard yesterday from the survivors is that they support these efforts and they support the pursuit of transparency and accountability. We will continue working tirelessly for these survivors and for the American people. I want to thank Speaker Johnson and his leadership team for giving us all the tools we need to get all the information that the American people want and that the survivors deserve to be able to finally give them some accountability. And I want to thank the Trump administration for working with us and turning over 34,000 documents so far. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Comer, and thank you for all your hard work on this issue. With that, I want to welcome you all back to a safe DC. I know that sounds crazy, but rather than applauding President Trump's decisive action to actually restore law and order and reduce crime in America, Democrats have defended gang members, thieves, and lawbreakers. Can you guys believe that? That sounds odd, right?
Okay.
Sounds pretty
So
common.
this is now Republican leadership that is going to be talking about other things, which is very important, obviously. But now it's going to sort of devolve into a press conference about these things. My entire production team, the best producers on the internet, are going to be monitoring this and making sure that we don't miss anything. Obviously, you have the entire slate of Republican leadership there, Mike Johnson and Scalise, Salazar. And so they're going to be doing like a leadership press conference. So that's just the Comer stinger. Thank you for monitoring that. That's what Comer had to say. The victims that have been deposed in Congress are allegedly going to be speaking in about 30 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We have Tim Burchett, by the way, locked in and ready to go soon. He's one of our absolute all-time favorite congressmen who made himself quite famous by talking on this program about how they get you in Washington, D.C., how you end up naked in a room with all the cameras on you, and they say, oh, we got you. Yeah, really, really interesting at this point. It looks like ALX is saying that the Epstein victims are going to be speaking, and we're going to tune in to hear that, obviously. Producers, let me know when Burchett is ready to rock. Because I want to chat with him because he's actually deposed them. So maybe he can tell us what's about to happen. He typically does. Yeah. All right, back to the yeeting, ladies and gentlemen, of the Venezuelan gangs. The White House actually used a meme template that we called yesterday. The instant that this happened, if you were watching yesterday live, President Trump held a press conference where he moved Space Force to Alabama. It's a really smart move. Obviously, it shouldn't be in Colorado anyway. Colorado is a failed state. Sorry if you're watching from there, but you need better leadership. Something horrible has happened in Colorado. There needs to be like a Florida or Pennsylvania style remaking of the state, right, where you claw it back from the left. But President Trump has moved Space Force and the rocket building to Mobile, Alabama, where actually an enormous amount of rocket building happens, an enormous amount of Space Command happens there. It's very cool. Anyway, during that time period, during that press conference, Peter Doocy of Fox News goes up and shows Donald Trump a still unexplained video of the White House, of something being dumped out of a window of the White House. And that turned into a meme template. So here we go. Adios. This is the White House. This is the White House posting this. Terrorist eliminated. Adios. It's a beautiful thing. There you go. Look at that engagement too, by the way. Millions of views, 5,000 likes, and an absolute total dominance of the seas around America. I believe that these kind of things are really good to be used as warning signs, right? Back in the day, they would do the hangings of criminals outside of the town, so criminals entering the town could see that this isn't a place that you F around. And I like it. Now, is this going to lead to war with Venezuela? That's a big question. The Venezuelan dictator is out saying, like, please don't go to war with us. They're doing military rallies and so on. Maduro has a $50 million bounty on his head. And whenever you hear of something horrible happening in America, a good one name that comes to mind is Laken Riley, who was murdered by a Venezuelan gang member who was let out of jail again and again and again to commit more and more heinous crimes. And now Laken Riley, a beautiful American nursing student, is of course dead in the worst possible. I mean, like, again, like, read the murder report. Like, this Venezuelan was sent here from the prisons of Venezuela to terrorize our country. How is that any different than what we would call terror? I mean, how is that any different than what we would call like terrorism? So a member of ISIS, hijacks a car or a plane and does some horrible act of terrorism. We go, oh, terrorism, look at that. It's awful. But a member of a terrorist group from South America comes into our country and does the exact same thing with Laken Riley. He like bludgeons her to death in the middle of the day while she was out jogging after foisting himself on her like an animal. I think he used a big rock. You have to check me on this, but like in the murder, it's like it's like caveman level, third world, rampant brutality and evil. And we somehow don't call that terrorism? It is, of course, an act of terrorism. And what Venezuela has done is terrorize our nation. They are a terrorist narco state. They've sent hundreds of thousands of gang members. The Obama administration welcomed them with open arms, the Obama-Biden administration. And it needs to be asked, like, why don't we classify it as that? Because that's what it is. We would do that if it was ISIS or Al-Qaeda, but for some reason we only apply it if they come from the Middle East. No, it's like there's terrorism from all over the place. And so this is President Trump yeeting the terrorists there, and he's moved a huge strike force into the Caribbean and into the Gulf of America in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again, but also to make sure that there is a, let's just say a deterrence, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know that if you really wanted to deter the criminal alien border crossers, what you do is you put Tim Burchett on a skateboard with a shotgun down on the border. That's what you do. You'd have Tim Burchett, you'd create a sidewalk, maybe a ramp, a couple of rails that Tim Burchett could ride on his skateboard, on his longboard, and you'd give that man a shotgun, 12 gauge double barrel, with a vest of shells, and you just let him zip around. You just let him go up and down the border. And that's what we know. That's how we know. When that happens, we'll know that the government is really serious about locking our border down. Lucky for us, the great congressman from Tennessee is here to join us to explain. He's ready to become the head of ICE on skates. Ice skates. Here we go, Tim Burchett. I apologize. That was the most ridiculous intro for any member of Congress ever. And we're just in a good mood today. Just happen to be in a good mood today, Congressman.
Thank you, brother.
Yes. So let's talk quickly about what you learned yesterday in the hearing with the Epstein victims. The floor is yours, Congressman.
Well, thank you, Benny. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's always good. People in Tennessee and throughout this country love you because you're pretty much direct and to the point, and they dig that. Irregardless of my incredible intro there, I'll have to clip that for later viewing. There were several ladies in there, and they had their attorneys, and what struck me is that one of the ladies had they all had their full name, but one of the ladies just had her first name, and it was emotional. They talked about their experience and what went on, and the one lady, she just had one name and her first name, who I assume was her first name, and that was to protect her. You know, she was just not really sure about being there and all that, and I get that because they had, as they documented, they'd been victimized not just by Epstein and Maxwell, whatever her name is, and the other dirtbags that had their way with them. They were abused by the justice system. The justice system did them wrong multiple times, you know, and they get built. I mean, it's been 10 years since they filed their original lawsuit, and now they're seeing it bear some fruit, so to speak. And I asked the question because she said, I want this to go, you know, I want to get to my files, but I can't get to them because she had blacked out all that from her memory of what had occurred to her. And she would like to know what exactly had been done to her during that time period. And I asked the question, it wasn't a Q&A type thing, Benny, but I said, no, wait a minute. You do not want those files released? And they said, no, and the attorney said, thank you so much for asking that question, because no, we do not want those files released. And in our rush to judgment to release everything, which is what the press all of a sudden, after 4 years of the Biden administration holding on to this thing, have finally decided they want to bring it out. That said to me, we need to put the brakes on the mass file dumping that I'm afraid that the discharge petition could cause. And there is some legal precedents in that discharge petition that some legal verbiage that could, in fact, I'm afraid, release the identities to some of these folks, and that bothers me. So I'm glad we're going about it. I'm glad Chairman Comer is going about the way he's doing it by having the files, gone over before we do that, because there is that's a real issue. You got nearly 1,000. There were little girls, now they're women that are in those files that were abused by those dirtbags. So I would hope that we could remember that, in this rush to so-called judgment.
Yes. So you're famous, obviously, for spitting true facts, for saying that if people are found guilty of doing these kind of heinous acts, they should be hung from the nearest tree. And also on our show, which is something that is aged like a very fine wine, Congressman, you describe blackmail ops that are often run in the political arena. And so is there anything like that was revealed yesterday?
Well, and one of the ladies said that prior to her coming forward, she received a phone call, and she has a young daughter, and I know you have young children like I do. And they said that, some despicable acts were going to be done to her daughter if she were to come forward. And so I think you're saying this thing has really touched a nerve, and you've got some real, I think, influential people that are involved in it. I think we need to make sure justice is done to them. But I do think we need to remember the wishes of these young ladies. And I'm just afraid they will be used again and then tossed aside once the political, will is used to go after somebody that probably is innocent. So I would just, I would urge people to use a little bit of caution in this thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of situation.
Do you believe that there are going to be any other individuals indicted, or?
I think there will be. I mean, we're calling in. I mean, we're casting a pretty great broad net in the in our committee, but I think the Trump Justice Administration is going to go after a lot of these people, and I hope they do, because they have they've done some pretty despicable things.
But who's these people? Because right now the total, and yeah, the preview is good, guys, but real quickly, I want to get to something with the congressman. Right now, the total conversation has been that it's just Epstein. There was no abuse outside of Epstein, and it was like the entire harem of thousands. The entire harem of thousands of women and people abused was just for Epstein, and there was no blackmail ever. And nobody else ever touched the hair on another one of these.
I can't imagine that. I think it just goes too deep. I think his money and his influence went a little deeper than that. I think you're going to see a lot of people that don't want these files released just because they're going to be in those files that just did business with Epstein, because he was a money man. He was not, it didn't have anything to do with his, it didn't have anything to do with all of it, with any of the sex trafficking or whatever you want to call it. I think that's where the lines get a little hazy, and I think we need to be really careful there as well. But yeah, I think it was a pretty deep web. I think he used it. I think there's tapes probably that were taken at the residency in New York. I don't want to see them, but I think that needs to be evaluated further. I really do.
Yeah, there was a whole trove of documents that were released yesterday, and I know that people are looking through them, and I certainly appreciate the transparency here. any other revelations that you have learned?
No, there was talk that there was some names mentioned, but I didn't hear any. I had to go to another meeting afterwards, so I was they scheduled this a little late. And I had some people that had come in from Tennessee, so I had to leave. But I didn't hear any names. That's what I'd like. I'd like them to get to the names, start naming some people.
Yeah. Okay, so shifting gears here, you mentioned Tennessee. You're from Tennessee. You're probably the most Tennessean that's ever existed, Congressman. And so I want to like shift gears to something that happened in your backyard with Cracker Barrel over the last couple of weeks. I know that this is obviously something that took the world by storm. The woke rebrand of the most unlikely possible brand. And given the fact that this is a Tennessee company and their headquarters in Tennessee, I'm sure you have some thoughts on it. I just want to give you your opportunity to sound off.
I think they started going downhill when they started serving alcohol. I mean, it was a family restaurant. I don't think it added anything to it. I can't imagine it added much to their bottom line. I've always enjoyed going to Cracker Barrel. It's, everybody, when it came out, I can remember, oh, man, you need to go there. And I said, and I went there and it was just like eating at home, really. I mean, it wasn't much different. And then in that regard, it's sort of like the Waffle House. You can go in anyone across the country and you guarantee the waitress is going to call you darling. So it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, they try to rebrand. It's another one of these. They brought in a bunch of liberals, probably Northeasterners. No offense to Northeasterners, unless you are one, then I guess offense is to be taken. But the truth is, they tried to, they think, oh, we're going to show these folks how it really should be, and I think they got a bunch of lunatic influencers to advise them on what was going on, and it's not what was going on. And America responded overwhelmingly. I don't know if they'll ever regain, because just the whole thing is just ridiculous, and people are fed up. It was a conservative Tennessee-based company, and they just started changing everything about it. And I said they took all the Americana out and put up a bunch of cheap Chinese knockoffs on the inside, and that's exactly what they did. And they start changing the menu to some foo-foo stuff. Dadgummit, that's not what people want. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Again, this is what's next? Is Chick-fil-A going to start opening on Sundays? I don't know, but I'm over it. We're not going back. We were on the road a lot during when all that was going on, and we looking at the Cracker Barrel parking lots, because Kelly and I, that's where we'd always stop, was Cracker Barrel. We'd travel, go to the beach or something. We'd always stop at a Cracker Barrel 2 or 3 times. We'd go for breakfast and supper, and not this trip. We didn't do it this trip, and we drove by and looked at the parking lots, and they were empty. So I think people, as my economics professor would say, they are casting their dollar votes elsewhere.
So yeah, I guess the equivalent would be Chick-fil-A going all vegan, right? Like that would be the equivalent, is like the vegan Chick-fil-A sandwich now. It was a nightmare. I just don't understand what's wrong with these people. They already have a good thing going, and Americans are so sick of our culture, especially middle Americans, especially people like Heartland Americans and Heritage Americans. We're just so sick of elitists and globalists coming in and ripping the heart out of it all. And it's like it's been enough. Like we just said enough. Yes, you're right.
They're like locusts, man. They come in, just strip everything, and then they leave. And and then you're going to see, you want to drive by there and look at those parking lots one day and go, what used to be there? Oh, that was a Cracker Barrel, and they'll be like, it's like all these Mexican restaurants. They were always something else before then. You can always figure out what they were before then. And the reason is the Mexican restaurants are giving people what they want.
So are you going to advise Cracker Barrel? Are you going to, you're from Tennessee, the headquarters probably isn't terribly far from you. Are you going to throw your hat into the ring for the new CEO of Cracker Barrel?
No. I think it's a dead dog. They're going to have to bring somebody else in. Man, it's pathetic. I know.
And what would you advise them? What would you advise them quickly, Congressman?
Get back to your original menu.
Yeah.
Lower your prices and get going. Take a little hit on the front end and get people back in there. That's what I would say. Go find your original menus, because they've switched out of everything. Heck, they don't even have the good French dressing anymore. So what do you do?
The great congressman from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, a man who you must follow on social media. If you don't already, you're crazy. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Burchett with nearly 400,000 subscribers. And, well, I guess I'm just going to call him the straightest shooting member of Congress. That's right. Dad
I get the mini bump every time I'm on. Man, I'm on everything too. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. So if y'all are out there, follow me. I don't try to be entertaining, but.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and see if we got something coming to you from Joel. Let's go, Joel. Hallelujah.
Guys, it is over, everyone. It is completely over for anyone trying to cover up the corruption in D.C. The Epstein files released is finally here. 33,000 pages that have just been released. This is huge, everybody. Republicans are furious right now that Trump is using pocket rescissions to pull back foreign aid spending. You can't make this up, guys. I'm telling you, the rhinos are exposing themselves at the highest level. You can't make this stuff up. Trump has just threatened every single Republican in Congress, if they side with Thomas Massie over the Transparency Act, that he will take it as a hostile act towards him, and there will be consequences. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this is about to get into a big fight, everybody. I'm telling you, we have traditional MAGA Republicans, now that Congress is back, that are siding with Thomas Massie over the Transparency Act to release any and all information tied to the Epstein files, the JFK files, the MLK files, everything. They want to expose the elitists. They want to expose every celebrity or whoever was involved with all this, and they want to see them go to jail. And this is a big one, y'all. Trump has just threatened every single Republican in Congress that whoever sides with Thomas Massie on the Transparency Act, he will consider that a hostile act towards him, and there will be consequences. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is leading the charge with Thomas Massie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because I can't even believe I'm saying these words right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a MAGA Republican, is now in this big fight against Trump over the Transparency Act. Thomas Massie is in support with Marjorie Taylor Greene, are putting the full release of the files along with Democrats against President Trump. Trump's White House put out any Republican who signs Thomas Massie's discharge petition on the Epstein files will be seen as committing a hostile act against the Trump administration. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The House Oversight Committee has just released 33,295 pages of the Epstein-related files that were provided by the U.S. Department of Justice. There were as many as 1,000 Epstein victims, and many of them have been paid by powerful men to be silent. The Epstein victims are now creating their own list that they are going to be releasing, compiling a list of names of their accusers and the people that actually did them wrong. They're now learning that the NDAs they signed are not legally binding, and as a result, they will be releasing their own list and getting justice for the victims. You can't make this stuff up. Today's a big day. Congress is back. We're supposed to be passing a big budget. The Republicans in Congress are literally furious at Trump right now because he's doing pocket rescissions to pull back federal funding from foreign aid. So you tell me, we're going to put out a list of these rhinos so that we can primary them and get some real MAGA people in there. Senator Mike Rounds expressed his concern that the pocket rescissions will give Democrats a reason to oppose funding legislation, putting Washington in danger of blundering into a government shutdown after September 30th. Today is a big day for big news. MAGA Republicans are coming against Trump. We've got Republicans that are furious for Trump for pulling back foreign aid spending. Guys, this is an insane day of breaking news. We're going to bring you bombshell news today. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. We got a show for you today. Sit back, get some popcorn, maybe some sweet tea, because I'm telling you, you're going to be blown out of your mind what is going on in the Congress right now against Trump. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at True Life News. I want to give some special love to everybody that is a member of the channel and those that give a super chat donation. We're so thankful for your support. We are here to serve you every single day with the top news. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, I'm telling you guys, never did I ever imagine that right before a government shutdown, you'd have MAGA Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out in full fight with Thomas Massie in the Transparency Act against Trump. He's already spoken about this, said, don't come against me. Don't anybody that sides with them. I will consider it a hostile attack towards me, and they will face consequences. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because this is going to be a showdown. What you're about to hear, this is big. This is all breaking news that just happened moments ago. You know I got y'all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Now in D.C., press conference underway calling for the full release of the Epstein files. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking now. Let's listen in.
The shame falls on every single person that coldly turned a blind eye to their abuse. The shame falls on every single person that enabled it. The shame falls on every single person that took money to continue it. And the shame falls on the people in power over the past several decades that protected the monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his cabal that continued a nightmare. Those people deserve the shame. And today we are coming forward and we are going to fight like hell for these women, because we have to fight like hell for those that are enduring sexual abuse and are living in a prison of shame. Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault belongs to the evil people that do these things to the innocent. This is the most important fight we can wage here in Congress, is fighting for innocent people that never receive justice. And the women behind me have never received justice. And do you want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel, and other countries. The truth needs to come out.
And I'm telling you, everybody, it's going to come out one way or another. We just got news that the Epstein victims are going to release their own client list, because they found out that the NDAs that they signed and they got paid off are not valid. And this is crazy. Listen to this, because you don't get no more breaking news. You don't get no more bombshell than this right here.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names.
Wow.
We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors.
So let me know your thoughts, everybody. This is big breaking news that's all coming out today. I am blown out of my mind what we're seeing right now. Remember, we're going to bring you the breaking news. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is some big stuff that's coming out today. We're bringing you all the breaking news. And remember, we don't hold back. Whatever is coming out, we're going to show you. And I'm telling you, like, this is what I just can't believe it that the leading report, and I'm going to show you all this in a moment, any Republican who signs Representative Thomas Massey's discharge petition on the Epstein files will be seen as committing a hostile act against the Trump administration, per the White House official. This is big. Marjorie Taylor Greene has already signed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You're going to listen to her in a moment. Let her finish what she was saying. But this is big. I want to say, Digging It with Dawn, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said, I'm so glad to be able to watch live. I feel like I have missed so much this week. At keeping me on top of the news. MAGA, let's go. Show Digging It with Dawn some love in the chat, as well as J-Mad. Welcome to the family. Y'all show J-Mad some love in the chat, as well as Denise Clark Custom Art. Let's go with the super chat. OG of the channel said he's tired and ready to throw down. Time to tango. The truth will always come out eventually. Y'all show Denise Clark some love in the chat, everybody. This is big. These are fighting words, everybody. And this is like, we're literally about to have one of the biggest votes in Congress, and we're dealing with this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
And the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out. On behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. This should never happen in America, and it should never be a political issue that divides us. And I want to thank Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey for doing something brave, crossing political boundaries for a very important fight. And I'm honored to join both of them.
Right there.
And I'm honored that Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert signed the discharge petition along with myself. And I asked my Republican colleagues not to choose just one path for justice and transparency and accountability, but I asked my Republican colleagues to choose every path for justice and accountability and transparency.
So they are pushing everybody for the Transparency Act. That's what it's called, the Transparency Act. And this is something the White House is not happy about. Because let me tell you this, everybody. It's coming out everywhere right now from the Hill. GOP leaders urging Republicans not to sign the Epstein discharge petition. And they're saying, look, don't do it. Don't do it. Trump's not going to be happy about it. In a closed-door meeting in the basement of the Capitol, Speaker Mike Johnson called on GOP leaders to instead support the efforts of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, which is seeking more disclosures on the Epstein case from the Justice Department DOJ, the Epstein case, and the former federal law enforcement officials who worked on the case. They said this message from leadership was clear. According to Representative Joe Wilson, we have a very positive alternative. Representative Thomas Massey, who sponsored the discharge petition, disagrees. So you're about to hear from the people themselves. We're bringing you all this breaking news, everybody. I hope you appreciate it. And just want to always say again, too, when it comes to our YouTube chat, no personal attacks against me or anybody in the chat. No cussing. If you do that, you will be blocked. We want this family-friendly chat. You can say whatever you want about Trump, about Kamala Harris, about anything. But when it comes to the people in our chat and me, no personal attacks. I want it clean and fun. Listen to this, because I'm telling you, we're bringing you all this stuff that's happening right now because we want to make sure that you are fully taken care of when it comes to the breaking news. Listen to this.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just spent more than 2 hours with 6 of the Epstein victims, some of the bravest women I've ever met. They're very courageous. They shared their stories. Some of the ladies have shared these stories publicly before, but at least 2 of the women had never told their stories before. One for the very first time in the room. And so there were tears in the room. There was outrage. It was both, I would describe it as heartbreaking and infuriating. that justice has been delayed so long. Some of the women in the room began to be groomed by Epstein and his accomplices, Ghislaine Maxwell and the others, 30 years ago.
Wow.
There were 4 attorneys in the room. Some of them began civil litigation against Epstein and the Epstein evils and everything associated with it 20 years ago. This has gone on for a long, long time. And they shared their stories. They shared how these brave young women, Epstein and his accomplices, stole their innocence, stole their very lives in some cases, stole their hopes and dreams and aspirations and ruined them in so many ways. But they came forward courageously to share their thoughts and their hopes in the House Oversight Committee and the House itself, that we would do this in a bipartisan fashion and seek those answers, and we will. They are owed that. There may be as many as 1,000 victims.
1,000.
Hundreds and hundreds of young.
I told you, 1,000 victims. We told you on this channel. I literally had somebody who blasted me on the chat saying, Joel, you don't know what we're talking about. I'm like, look, I'm literally getting it from the people that are literally in the Oversight Committee who are saying this stuff. This is crazy. And I'm going to show you Thomas Massey and what he says in just a moment, because I'm telling you, I feel like they got enough votes to pass this.
Women who some of us imagine seated behind these 6 women. One of the members in the committee said that they speak for all of them. And it's been long, long overdue. So the objective here is not just to uncover, investigate the Epstein evils, but also to ensure that this never happens again, and ultimately to find out why justice has been delayed for these ladies for so very long. It is inexcusable, and it will stop now because the Congress is dialed in on this. I'm very grateful for the leadership of Chairman James Comer of the House Oversight Committee, who's with me here, and he's done an extraordinary job. August was a very busy district work period for so many members of Congress who were fanned out across the country in their districts doing town halls and business roundtables and constituent services. But our House Oversight Committee was working all along on their subpoenas. And I'll let him recount for you some of the great work that has already been done, but 34,000 Epstein documents have already been provided. We will not stop there. This is the beginning, not the end, and they are going through very carefully because we have 2 ultimate objectives here. We want to bring justice to every single person who is involved in the Epstein evils of the cover-up thereof, but we also want to be equally certain we protect the innocent victims. Many of these young women, some of them are now middle-aged women, have never come forward. We do not want their names or identities to be uncovered carelessly or intentionally in any way. And so the House Oversight Committee, in a bipartisan fashion, is going through these documents to ensure that we redact only the information related to the innocent victims themselves. We cannot be subjecting them to any more harm. With that, I want to yield to our...
All right. Well, I just wanted to bring to your attention that we are, of course, Transformed Recovery. And as Transformed Recovery, we definitely work with, in Transformed Recovery, those that are abused. And that includes, of course, sexual abuse. So this is very near and dear to our hearts, that when there is a pedophilia situation, and it seems as though our government has many officials that have been wrapped up in pedophilia and sex trafficking in different areas. This is the area that we live in the recovery ministry. So Transform Recovery has been developing over 40 years now, and it's been becoming more and more public. It's been more of a private type of recovery system that goes deep into the scriptures, and everything is scripturally based. So you can go to transformed.love. That's transformed.love. Right now, it just goes to a Facebook group, but that Facebook group has massive amounts of information, and the program and the books and all the literature is being revised, re-edited again and again and again to make sure that it is as deeply connected to the roots of the fruits of the Hebrew as possible, so that we can articulate, Yah's voice, Yah's message that he has in these areas of transformation. So yeah, we're real excited to be able to share that with y'all. And I think you're going to really, really love what Transformed Recovery is all about if you go to transformed.love. So this is why these stories in the Hebrews News are so important and so connected to the other ministries. You know, we have news, but then we go deeper than just the news with Love Inc. and the many ministries that it represents. Hallelujah. Okay. Okay.
Very able and very busy chair.
All right, you just heard from Mike Johnson. Now he is fighting tooth and nail, everybody, with Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Representative Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert. All these people are fighting big time. And you're about to hear the other side of it that is working with the Democrats. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I told you, I'll bring you the full context. We bring you everything here. Listen to this.
For all the great work he's been doing, Jamie Comer.
Well, you said this is political cover, this vote that the Speaker is scheduling.
Yes, the vote that the Speaker's putting on the floor is meaningless. It's basically telling James Comer to keep doing what he's doing. And I appreciate what James Comer is doing, but this vote is unnecessary, and it's to provide political cover to those Republicans who may not be sponsoring or signing the effort that Ro Khanna and I put forward.
Do you think that enough Republicans will sign on to this discharge petition to force a vote?
I do. We've got 12 sponsors, Republican sponsors. I believe every Democrat's going to sign it. If only 6 of the 12 Republicans sign it, then we'll be fine. And in fact, as soon as you get to 218, we quit taking signatures. So I would encourage Republicans to be one of those 6.
But you don't think that they're getting weak-kneed, these Republicans?
There's a major pressure campaign from the White House right now, and also from the Speaker. But I think there are enough Republicans who are listening to their constituents and care about these victims that will get the 218 signatures we need.
Wow, 218, y'all. I'm telling you, and they're not holding back. And even the own Epstein victims are going to release their own list. Let me know your thoughts on this, and let me tell you where this all goes back to. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, it's always all back to transparency, censorship. We've got the House back in order. We're trying to go after protecting Americans' freedom of speech, not because I'm telling you, if we can't protect our #1 constitutional right, our country is done for. And we got Jim Jordan, who's going over everything because people all over the world are trying to censor us. And those people are pouring in money into the United States, trying to get companies to censor us. And what I love is you actually have some pit bulls, I think true MAGA Republicans that are fighting this. Listen to this.
Last year, Thierry Breton wrote Elon Musk a letter. Thierry Breton's the commissioner in charge of enforcement of the Digital Services Act and the Digital Marketing Act. In the very first sentence, the guy in charge of enforcing this legislation passed by the EU writes this: "Dear Mr. Musk, I am writing to you in the context of recent events in the United Kingdom and in relation to the planned broadcast on your platform X of a live conversation between a U.S. presidential candidate and yourself." So think about it. The guy in Europe in charge of
If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, I'm telling you, we are dropping this bombshell news today. Big stuff that's coming out.
Enforcing a European Union law, writes an American about an American company, about an American election, and he says the context for the letter, the reason for the letter are events that are happening in the UK, a non-European Union country. That's not Europe trying to influence what happens here. I don't know what is. He goes on throughout the letter and says this: measures need to be taken to combat disinformation. He said this to Mr. Musk. We're concerned about any, quote, illegal content you may have. And he ends his letter by saying, my services and I, very last sentence, my services and I will be extremely vigilant to any evidence that points to breaches of the Digital Services Act and will not hesitate to make full use of our toolbox. So he ends the letter with a threat. So before the interview even takes place, he's threatening an American running an American company about an interview regarding the most important election we have, election of the President of the United States. And again, saying the reason for doing so are events that are happening in a non-European Union country, the UK. Comments about events happening in the UK. Concerned about this, quote, spillover effect. That is why we're having today's hearing. That's why we went to Europe last month, or actually in July, to study this issue. Now, here's what's interesting. Mr. Breton, after he sends this letter, this committee sent him 2 letters, and then he suddenly resigns. We asked him to come today, but he refused to come. We asked him to send written testimony. He refused to do that. We asked him to appear. He just wouldn't come. I think it's important to remember what the House Judiciary Committee did last Congress. We investigated our government, the Biden administration, their attacks on free expression here in the United States. What Michael Schellenberger journalists called the censorship industrial complex. Big government, big tech, big media, big academia, all working together to censor Americans.
Dang.
We learned all kinds of things in that investigation. We learned on April 27th of 2022 that the Biden administration had established a disinformation governance board. That's right. Bunch of bureaucrats going to get together and tell you what you can say, what you can tweet, what you can post, what you can read, what's misinformation, what's disinformation, and the new term they come up, what's malinformation. Thank goodness, because many of us raised concerns about that, they disbanded that disinformation governance board. We no longer had that. We heard from journalists like Mr. Schellenberger, like Matt Taibbi.
Let me tell you this. The fight is so real, everybody. I'm telling you that we've got rhinos, we've got people in the judicial sector that just don't want to see Trump win. What I'm showing you right now, and this is all the Biden administration, there's still a lot of people from the Obama administration, from the Biden administration, judges, people in certain offices, the deep state, that look at this. D.C. grand juries declined to indict 2 people accused of threatening to kill Trump. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing. These people that literally threatened Trump brought weapons to D.C. Were literally saying that they were going to do all this stuff, and now nothing's going to happen? No indictments? Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, everybody, if we don't do something, if we don't drain the swamp, there are still people out there trying to take out Trump. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is so bad that D.C. grand juries declined to indict 2 accused of threatening to kill Trump. And even these people had weapons, okay? It's not like they just came and said, oh, I want to do this to Trump. It's like, no, they had plans. They had weapons. They didn't even live in D.C. They traveled to D.C. They were caught around the White House. I'm so sick of seeing how much weaponization is in the government, and I'm glad that we're exposing it right here because things need to change.
Regarding the Twitter files, we heard from Tulsi Gabbard, we heard from RFK Jr., all Democrats, frankly. In fact, I took some heat for that. What are you doing bringing Democrats in front of the judiciary? We brought them in because they care about the First Amendment. It was interesting. When RFK Jr. came in to testify, the Democrats actually made a motion to go to executive session. Kick everyone out. No journalists, no one was allowed. They wanted to kick everyone out, go to executive session so no one could hear what RFK Jr. was going to testify to in a hearing on censorship. You can't make this stuff up. We learned that on January 23rd. Think about that, by the way. We learned on January 23rd, 2021, maybe point this one out first, that there was an email. So the third day of the Biden administration, there was an email sent from the White House to Twitter which said, take down this tweet ASAP. And who had issued the tweet? Who had put out the tweet? RFK Jr. So you had the Biden administration trying to censor a fellow Democrat who was going to run against him in the Democrat primary.
Dang.
I mean, that is, and everything in that tweet actually were true statements. So we learned all that last year, and of course our investigation culminated with a letter from Mr. Zuckerberg on August 26, 2024 last year, where he said, yes, the Biden administration pressured us to censor. We did it. We're sorry, and we won't do it again. And Meta, Facebook has now subsequently changed policy. They now go to the community notes policy instead of the, quote, independent fact checker approach that was being used before. We had one other witness last Congress, journalist from Canada, Rupa Subramanya, who I thought said something that was really important. She said, free speech is a core value of Western culture. And that is true, and that's what our concern is. We're concerned about the attacks on free expression in Europe, the censorship, the arrest for offensive posts, the chilling effect it all has on speech. But we're more concerned, frankly, as Americans, about the limits the DSA, the Online Safety Act in the UK, put on Americans' First Amendment rights, and the shakedown, and I think that's the appropriate term, the shakedown of American tech companies under the DSA, the OSA, and the Digital Marketing Act Digital Markets Act in the European Union. These acts target our tech companies that provide the modern town square, and they are the engines of innovation in our global economy. Since the turn of the century, European tech companies have languished behind their American counterparts. European governments have tried everything to change this except what might actually work, deregulating their own economy and letting free enterprise flourish. Instead of cutting red tape and allowing their own companies to innovate and grow, the EU and the UK are going after American companies that have grown to dominate the global tech landscape. Regulations like the EU's Digital Markets Act and the UK's Digital Markets Competition and Consumers Act impose burdensome requirements on US tech companies while leaving their European counterparts untouched.
And I want to show you, because I'm telling you, we're not holding back, everybody. There's so much breaking news. We're dealing with censorship today. We're dealing with all of the fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene, with Thomas Massie, with Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, like all these people who are supposedly MAGA, they're all coming out. And this is a big statement, guys. Go ahead, take a seat, because I'm telling you, we're bringing you everything. Massie says that Trump may be covering for some rich and powerful people in the Epstein files. Let me know your thoughts on this, because all this is breaking today. Do you believe Trump? That now we even have it from NBC News that they did a panel and they said, and all the people, the victims said that, Trump had nothing to do with, or didn't do anything, that Trump was good, so Trump's safe. But now people are saying that Trump's trying to cover up for rich and powerful friends. Where do you stand at, everybody? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button, thumbs up like button. There's too much corruption, everybody. There's too much corruption. We're trying to protect people. We're trying to make sure that America is first. I want to move into, guys, remember on our channel, we only have one sponsor. And we've partnered with these people because they do a great job of taking care of Americans. And when it comes to our system, when it comes to the corruption and things that are happening, we have found that the United States literally had to go after 3 national health insurance companies because they found that there was unlawful kickbacks and discrimination against people on Medicare, disabled Americans, and that's why we have to be on our toes, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything that we can.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the next section here. And then we're going to wrap it up. Just going to put a couple of quick bullets out there yet of some big time stories here. All right, let's go with it's a while back already. Why is it doing that? All right, so we're gonna.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have President Nawrocki with us, Poland. He did a good job with that, right? Gave me a little different pronunciation. I said I want to get it perfect. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Yeah. Nawrocki.
I better get it right. And the president's been amazing. He had an incredible race. He came from behind and he won very handily. The people of Poland have taken to him immediately. They really love him. And there's great love and respect. He's a very successful man, but he went into a political hatchet, so to speak. It was a pretty tough race, pretty nasty race, and he beat them all, and he beat them all very easily. And now he's become even more popular as they got to know him and know him better. He's doing a really fantastic job. So it's an honor to. I also endorsed him, so I'm very proud of that. I don't endorse too many people, but I endorsed him, and I was very proud of that, the job he's done. I want to thank Vince Haley for that recommendation. Vince was fantastic, and I appreciate it. And I can tell you who really appreciates it, Poland, because they're very happy with their president. And I just want to say it's an honor to have you. We'll be discussing trade and various other things, the things that you discuss. We'll have a few questions from you, and then we'll get on to a discussion, then we'll have lunch, and then he goes and he meets with the Pope. And that'll be very exciting. And say hello to the Pope for me.
Yeah,
okay.
I will.
Thank you very much for being
Thank you
here.
very much.
Thank you very much,
Mr. President. Thank you very much, and I would like to express my gratitude for your invitation. Only after 1 month from my sworn and from celebration for my inauguration, it means that Polish-American relations are very important, very strong. I think that we have so strong relations that we have never had, and it's very important for me. Our relations are based, of course, on the values. Right. And thank you very much for your support, for your endorsement during my very hard campaign. I remember it, and I'm very grateful for your support. It was the fight me against others, so your support was very important, and the support of Polish people, Polish diaspora in United States of America. We have almost more than 10 million people here, and they voted for Donald Trump.
They voted for me.
Yeah, and in vast majority they voted also for me, so I would like to say hello to Polish diaspora in United States of America. Those relations for me, for Poland, for Poles, are very important with United States of America, and they are based on values: independence, sovereignty, democracy. And I think, Mr. President, that those values are epitomized by our common heroes.
Yes.
Kazimierz Pułaski and Tadeusz Kościuszko. So thank you very much, and I hope it will be very fruitful discussion around the energy, around the economy and military service. Yeah.
And the flyover was very much in honor of your great pilot who just passed away recently, who was a legend in Poland. You might want to say something about him.
Yes, of course, it was a terrific accident in Poland. Thank you for this gesture that F-35 opened our meeting. Major Krakowian was one of the best Polish pilots, well-honed Polish pilots, and he died. He lost 2 children, so it was a great tragedy.
He was a legend in Poland, actually, a legend as a pilot. He was an incredible pilot, and I think he went to the Air Force Academy, actually. But he was a fantastic pilot, and it was a big setback, a big the people of Poland are very, very sad. So we thought we'd do that. That was the single plane that swooped up.
And machines, American machines, opened our meeting. It was great. And we are waiting for 32 F-35s in Poland. So it all shows we have great relations according to the best military equipment on the world, American equipment, which build Polish security too.
Well, Poland, we've had a tremendous relationship. I think now it's better than ever because of this relationship. It's a little special because we fought together. But we've always been very good, and we have some wonderful people, as you know. Duda, my friend, he's a good man and still a big fan of yours, very much so. So it's a great honor, and we're going to talk about trade. We'll talk about some other things. We'll take a couple of questions from the media.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland? Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, do you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah, we're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Sir, on Russia and China, sir, can we ask about, we saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together. The first time leaders of those three countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that. And I was the one that brought it up. I said, they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
What was the reason they should have been invited, Mr. President? What was the reason? Mr. President, do you think they should have been invited?
Yes, go ahead.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action?
But
really? Wait. Who are you with?
I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal? Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
Mr. President,
right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who is sponsoring a discharge position to get the House to vote on the release of those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats, or for the most part, run by Democrats. So what they're trying to Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
When are you going to make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President?
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Sir, Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy, or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken into
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. There was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. And everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat. And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country, many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They've gone. But Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify the stupidity of the Biden administration, allowing these people to pour into our country with open borders. We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it, opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela. They said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. So Venezuela has been one of the worst actors in the whole group. We have a group of pretty bad actors.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government, or the Congress, has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burn the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, when if you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deductions when you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car. First time they've ever seen anything like this. Middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because of the fact that we have tariffs. Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming back. You know, we lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they wanted transgender, all of the crazy things that they were saying. And, you know, big issues. I say there were 97-3. I always say 97-3, and nobody knows who the three are. This is the best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are fighting us. I want to go into Chicago and have this incompetent governor that doesn't want us. Do you know that this weekend 72 people were shot in Chicago? I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, a lot of Poles in Chicago.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, I lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged. They didn't want to be attacked even in the restaurant. And you take a look at what's happened. Friends of mine that haven't gone to a restaurant in 4 years, one of them went out 5 times in the last 2 weeks to a restaurant with his family. They feel totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us. To go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known. They have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of a state that if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no way we could have done this without President Trump coming in with the troops. We saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
There you have it. We are definitely having a righteous president who's willing to fight lawlessness in this country, and that's the key right here, is fighting the lawlessness, and lawlessness is sinfulness. And we want to be able to bring this into a real Kitvei HaChadesh, or the ancient writings way of running a country. We don't want to be lawless. We want to be lawful. The laws of the land, we want them to line up with Scripture, and we want to be like the city on a hill. We want to be a bright light. We want to shine bright. and there's evil people that are fighting. So there's a war going on between good and evil. And this is where the crux of the issue is coming from here. Let's go ahead and bring you to another area. We'll come back to the president here in a moment. Come on. Got a lot of cool stuff happening right now. Come on. Stop the share. All right, so I want to just share with you a couple more clips. I wanted you to be able to see what's happening with a couple other areas yet today. But the lawlessness is the main issue that we're addressing right now. And again, I apologize. The computer seems to be lagging right now, really bad. So not sure why we're bearing down so much, but definitely all right, so let's go ahead and jump on this Benny right now. All right, let's see what Benny's got going on here now. This is a brand new one. Yeah, this is just coming out. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he's saying here on this one. Benny.
What's up, guys? Benny, one of the most disturbing and bone-chilling videos I have ever watched in my life, not just as it pertains to the Jeffrey Epstein saga or the political landscape, but ever watched, is Bill Gates describing how he feels about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Watch this, and you can see perhaps what Heath Ledger based the suicidal pathology of the Joker on.
And, you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so, you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
There's no scene out of any horror movie that is more terrifying than that face and that commentary by the world's former richest man. Watching Bill Gates smirk and snivel with glee talking about the death of Jeffrey Epstein really makes you wonder. Bill Gates is just one of those people. Look at that expression. You know, talking about Jeffrey Epstein being killed or hanging himself or whatever you think happened. Like, the guy's dead in a cell in a grotesque and gruesome way, unless like he's living as a body double somewhere. What do you know at this point? But this is the reaction, the smile. Well, Jeffrey Epstein destroyed Bill Gates' relationship. Bill Gates is one of those people that got really close to Jeffrey Epstein after all the sex predator charges were returned guilty against Jeffrey Epstein. He's one of those people. You can separate Jeffrey Epstein's friends into two groups: the people that were close to him before the charges and after the charges. Bill Gates is the worst of the worst, and it's really weird. It's really creepy, and it's something that obviously makes your skin crawl the more videos you watch on the people who knew Jeffrey Epstein, like Cindy McCain. Cindy McCain is sitting here on a human trafficking board. She's the wife of John McCain. He was pretty much in charge of the Senate for like 30 years, ran for president as the Republican nominee. Cindy McCain was privy to a lot of very important information, classified information, and so on. She was able to see every op that ran against the American people over the last 40 years, right? Having a front row seat to John McCain. Anyway, the point is that here's what she has to say about Jeffrey Epstein. This is not an insignificant person. This is a very powerful woman in American politics. Arguably, one of the most powerful women in American politics is Cindy McCain. She was the ambassador to the United Nations, right?
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
Oh, okay. Got it. Right. So, we all knew what he was doing, but nobody would say anything. You know, your husband was on like TV all day, every day. He's running for president. He's like running the Senate, but he wouldn't say anything. No one would say anything. No one would go after him. Yeah. It's the curiosities like that are like blended into complete and total stark relief in moments like this. Because you're like, well, someone's clearly hiding something, right? And who's at fault here? Well, the people that actually gave Jeffrey Epstein the get out of jail free card. Jeffrey Epstein would be living probably a very happy life behind bars if he had just been charged correctly federally back in 2006 when our current president was hosting The Apprentice, right? There's an entirely different group of people. Cindy McCain's one of those people that were in charge. Bill Gates, one of those people that was very powerful at that time, had a lot more money and connections to Epstein than Trump did. But those are the people that did nothing and then giggle and tee-hee-hee upon Jeffrey Epstein's death, murder, whatever. So it's a very strange timeline. But the timeline just broke today with the Epstein survivor speaking out for the first time on Capitol Hill. And so there's these women who were abused by Epstein, and they were on Capitol Hill, and they were able to, for the first time ever, like tell their stories and talk about what's going on and what actually happened. And we watched the whole thing. It's 90 minutes, and I want to talk about 3 major takeaways that are really important in all of this. The first major takeaway is that there's obviously massive government corruption and a massive government cover-up. The people who stopped all of these women from ever seeking any type of penalties or recompense from Jeffrey Epstein, who've been stonewalling them the entire time, has been DOJs run by Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Joe Biden, and so on. That's what's been going on. They've been stonewalled by the feds. The feds were clearly protecting Epstein. That is obvious and clear to anyone who's read the files or saw what happened in 2006 when Jeffrey Epstein finally caught a case for over 100 counts of child sex trafficking. That should have landed him in prison forever. Why was he ever let loose? Well, that's what they're asking. And that's what they brought up at the event. Along with saying that during that time period, they were personally on a plane with Bill Clinton flying to Africa, Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express. A pretty famous trip. Listen to this.
I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. Who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most power.
So there she goes. I went on a trip with Clinton, and it scarred me forever. You'll be shocked to know that no reporter asked a follow-up about that. Remember, ladies and gentlemen. We all saw it. It was all happening in plain sight. We all knew about it. We just didn't do anything. That's what they all say. They're all the same, right? Clinton, Cindy McCain, Joe Biden, they're all the same. Except for Trump. When asked directly by the corporate press whether any of them had ever witnessed President Trump doing anything untoward.
Ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein? No.
All of them say no. Not a single person says yes to that question. But what they do say is that, and the attorneys say this and the survivors say this, is that the idea that Jeffrey Epstein never doled them out to individuals that were in his orbit is false. That did happen, and it happened on tape and on camera. And that those tapes do, in fact, exist, and that they are making their own Epstein list.
2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford modeling agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know, who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Okay. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to put it all together. And these are the major takeaways. That they blame corrupt government law enforcement agencies throughout the last, let's say, 20 or so odd years for withholding evidence and protecting Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's utterly undeniable, actually, when you look at Alex Acosta and everything that happened with Jeffrey Epstein's case that he caught. Then they say that they're going to compile their own list, and then they talk about being on planes with Bill Clinton. Yikes. Okay. Government officials, politicians, royalty, they were taping everybody. Everything was being filmed, says Virginia Gouffre, whose family also spoke at this press conference. Flight logs show Bill Clinton flew on sex offender's jet. Much more than previously known. Well, ladies and gentlemen. There's also photos when the photos from the butler appeared. This is the other funny little wrinkle in all this. Bill Clinton was in them. Guy had never seen Donald Trump, but he's literally there with photos of Bill Clinton inside of his apartment. Guy says that he is this was the special Africa trip right here. They're sitting on the throne of England. And he has photos on the plane with Clinton. It's fascinating. So what's to happen next? I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. Making their own lists. I mean, what I'm curious about, what I'm curious the very, very most about is, are you doing this without any type of political animus? As I've said before on this channel, and I will say it again here, this the way that Democrats have treated this is a new Russiagate witch hunt hoax to run against President Trump. As the attorney, actually, who's standing right there, this gentleman right behind her, the attorney who's standing there in the press conference says, President Trump was insanely helpful to us in our search for prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the attorney said during the press conference. The left is trying so hard to pin this on Donald Trump while ignoring all of their friends who were involved. But I've been saying this for years. If he really was involved, why don't we all understand that this would have been leaked years ago? The liberal tears will be flowing bigly, says Donald Trump Jr. So I'll just end it at that. The attorney straight up today says the guy who helped.
A very special guest returns to us. Our girl, our gal. We will be so happy in just a few seconds. We haven't heard from her in a long time. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are. Big thing I'm doing is exposing what the Democrats are doing, why they have so much media control, and that's their only hope to try and destroy America. This is about the foundation of America. This is about you and I, the Patriots, why they can't penetrate us, why they can't get into us and win. It's all good news. But first, we got to check in on, it's been a long time since we've heard from my girl, Lori Lightfoot.
If he really cared about violent crime, go after the gun manufacturers who are just mass producing these weapons and have no liability or accountability.
It's the gun manufacturers. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. Look at that sunshine right there. It's our girl, my girl, Lori Lightfoot. It's been a long time since she's had something to say. And she shows up on why Chicago should not have Trump come in with the National Guard and save the lives of small black children being shot. Lori Lightfoot. When it's cold outside, I have the month of May. Goodness, she shows up to blame guns. It's the guns, guys. It's the molecules. If you put a gun on a counter, it just goes around, it hops off the counter and goes out and starts shooting people with no one involved. Same thing if you put a knife or a hammer on a table or AI, it just goes and runs off and just starts killing people. She is at war with molecules, not human beings that wield guns, like human evil.
After the gun stores that know that they're selling to straw purchasers that flood into our city, pass common sense gun reform that we have been begging for decades.
Is gun reform, would that do it? Would that be enough? You know, everywhere that this is something Ted Nugent has said, every shooting, everywhere, the more gun restrictions you have, the higher the violence. What they need is an armed citizenry of armed good people. Oh, and even upstream from that, fathers, raise your kids. Okay, guys, this isn't like a sperm bank situation. You get a girl pregnant, you marry her, you raise your kids, and then you baptize them. You don't just leave them to the wild and then go, gee, I wonder why they got all their social cues and all their training from the streets. Where's dad? Oh, mom kicked him out. Feminism kicked him out also.
Those are the kinds of things that actually would make a meaningful difference in violent crime. He's not talking about any of those things. He will not do any of those things because this is not about violent crime. It's about something else.
Gun grabbing is about something else. It's about a totalitarian takeover of our government to enslave the people. That's what's behind that. She says that this is about something else. What kind of gun, anti-NRA, anti-Second Amendment law did Trump pass in the last 2 weeks to virtually end crime in Washington, D.C.? He ended violent crime by bringing in the National Guard. He didn't have to pass one anti-gun legislation. He went in with a National Guard and it ended. So Lori Lightfoot, you're lovely. You're my sunshine. You're my girl. but you're a liar, you're wrong, and you hate the country. We're going to get into all the Democrat lies here. Here's another one from Bill Maher. Bill Maher, who still he tries to hate Trump and tries to cling to being a Democrat. He has the great writer David Mamet, one of my favorite playwrights. He did Glenn Ross. He's amazing. A great conservative mind. Watch this.
I know you think liberals want to destroy the family.
Liberals want no, I don't think they want to destroy the family. I think they have destroyed the family.
Yeah, they already have, Bill. It's too late. They don't want to destroy the family. They probably think they're saving the family with feminism, with abortion, with same-sex marriage, with destroying masculinity in males. I don't have to impugn their intent. I don't have to go and say your intent is bad. I'm just saying what you do is bad. I don't care about your intent. I assume your intent is good. By the way, Trump's intent could be bad and his works are still good. So again, Democrats go after his intent and say Trump's a racist. I don't care if he's a racist. I know he's not, but I'm just saying going after his intent, it's called the genetic fallacy. It's when you go after someone's intent or the person instead of what they do. I don't care what a Democrat's intent is. You know what? There's lots of old ladies in church, in your little Nazarene church, that are liberals. Their intent might be good, but they vote for evil and destruction.
Okay.
But they haven't destroyed my family.
But they didn't really do it on purpose. That's the
wait a second. What you're saying is I didn't know it was loaded, right?
Okay, that goes back to our Lori Lightfoot argument. I just wanted to get that quote. Is when Bill Maher says, I didn't intend to, then Mamet says, oh, I didn't know the gun was loaded. That's a great analogy. Well-intended people don't know that the gun is loaded, but they pull trigger and they play with a firearm and then they go, I didn't know it was loaded. If you don't know that the family, breaking up the family is a potential loaded weapon, putting Democrats in office is a potentially loaded weapon. And then you fire it off and you see the destruction it does. And you go, I didn't know it was loaded. My intent was good. I don't care about your intent. I judge your actions. Any Democrat, that might be in my own church, in my own family, any Democrat that puts an X next to a Democrat then comes to me and says, I had no idea it would be that bad. I still hold you responsible. You have an obligation to know the power of a loaded gun sitting on the table. As we vote in politics, it is loading a gun. You know, I could have been wrong about Trump. We weren't. We happened to be right. Doesn't make it, and I don't think it makes us a genius to look at Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and go, gee, I wonder if I should at least phone in a protest vote against that disaster. And I treat people as smart, not dumb. I just think people know better. Wait, there's more. This is on the trans issue about Democrats. Should they know better?
People are done with the trans thing. They've had enough of it. This whole, they're just kind of regular people like you and me, but happen to dress up like with. No, that's not really what's going on. You've unleashed an entire fleet of mentally ill lunatics on the public, and now we have to deal with the fallout of it. We have to deal with having to deal with these people on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people are sick of it. This guy is just echoing the thing which is in a lot of our minds, which is that, hey, we're kind of tired of these mentally ill lunatics in our streets.
Yeah, the lady in the lower right is going to advocate for the trans people. I don't take joy in calling them lunatics. I believe they are lunatics, but I'm not here to be mean. I'm not here to be mean. In fact, almost everyone on this panel, I don't know how Ben's down there in the lower left is, but almost everyone on this panel that's willing to call out trans people are not willing to call out regular homosexuals and the rest of LGBT. And I will. So even they don't fully understand what they mean by you can't just reverse a sexual role or go against it. And at some point you are endorsing someone else's deviant behavior. Even and I'll just, for the gays, and I have some gays in my audience, like, how dare you? How dare you? Even if you're going to allow people to have their own worldview, then even if I'm a homophobe, then at the very least, how can you judge that? Are you not sick of other people disagreeing with you, is what he's saying. these people are lunatics. He's sick of it because you act sick toward people who disagree with you. To the homosexuals in my office or people who go, I have a homosexual daughter, as if I don't have close homosexual relatives. It's not an argument. I have close relatives that are also thieves. They cheat on their wives. They're liars. They're embezzlers. They're tax cheats. You know, they rip off the medical system just because they're my relative. That's not an excuse, guys. Doesn't mean I don't love them. I don't have to endorse their behavior. And in denying their behavior, no, if I don't like fraud in my relative, doesn't mean I'm a fraudophobe.
We really are.
Ava?
I find that really frightening. I mean, why would you say someone was mentally ill because they feel they were born in the wrong body? I mean, does that give you pleasure or joy to just...
It does not give him pleasure. But it's the definition of mentally. I'm sorry if I walk around saying, if I yelled on the streets everywhere and go, I'm born in the wrong body. I'm born in the wrong body. I'm sorry, that's what a crazy person says. Forget the trans issue. If I say I'm over there, I should be over there in Japan, but I'm here right now, born in the wrong body. What do you think I'm saying? How is that not a lunatic? To you, lady, you, all you people of there, I know that you think you're there, but really you're born right here in the wrong body.
So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about lawlessness, and we're talking about, a real wrong way of viewing how things are. And that's the lawlessness. That's the wrongness. It's not rightness, it's wrongness. It's lawless. It's not lawful. So we got to look at, not just the 10 Commandments, but all Torah. Torah means simply instructions, laws, statutes, right rulings. These are the things that make up the way we are supposed to think. And many of us that get filled with the Ruah, we get these naturally coming in. And that's what's beautiful. That's what we're looking to do. So we could just go on like for all day on this, but we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to bring you some more. And glad that you could be with us here today. We love you and we thank you. This has been Hebrews News on Hey Whatever TV by Love Inc. Hallelujah. Praise be to the great Yah of Shamayim. Hallelujah. Yes, yes, yes. Praise Yah. Hallelujah.